That hill is 12,000 years old, and underneath it, buried deliberately, intentionally by the people who built it, is a temple complex that has rewritten the entire timeline of human civilization. Turkey is not one civilization. It is 40 of them, stacked on top of each other, and most of what's buried there hasn't been found yet. Only tiny portion of Göbekli Tepe has been excavated. The underground cities of Cappadocia run deeper than anyone has fully mapped. There are sites being discovered right now, in 2025, that don't have names yet. This is episode 2 of Terra Sparks Country series. Today, Turkey, the place that keeps proving we have no idea how old civilization actually is. Göbekli Tepe, a 12,000-year-old temple complex built by hunter-gatherers who had no business building anything this large. The year is 1994. A German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt is walking across an unremarkable hill in southeastern Turkey called Potbelly Hill, Göbekli Tepe in Turkish. He kneels down, picks up a piece of shaped limestone. He already knows what this is. He has seen something like it before. He starts to dig. What he finds will force archaeologists to rewrite the timeline of human civilization from the beginning. 12,000 years old, 6,000 years older than Stonehenge, built before pottery, before farming, before cities. The textbook story of civilization goes like this. Humans learned to farm, settled down, built villages, developed religion, and eventually built temples and monuments. Göbekli Tepe dismantles that story entirely. The people who built it were hunter-gatherers. No domesticated animals, no agriculture, no pottery, no metal tools. They were nomadic people who had not yet settled anywhere permanently. And yet they organized, somehow across what must have been a vast territory, to quarry limestone blocks weighing up to 50 tons, carve them with intricate reliefs of animals and abstract symbols, transport them to this hilltop, and erect them in precise geometric arrangements. First came the temple, then came everything else. That is the conclusion Göbekli Tepe forces on us. The T-shaped pillars, some standing 5.5 meters tall, weighing up to 50 tons, are carved with extraordinary detail. Foxes, snakes, boars, vultures, spiders, scorpions. Not the animals you would hunt and eat, the animals you would fear and revere. Many of the pillars are themselves abstract human forms. The shaft is the body, the crossbar at the top is the head. They are stylized, faceless people, deities, ancestors, guardians, standing in circles around whoever was meant to stand at the center. There are at least 16 enclosures mapped across the site. Only a handful have been excavated. The rest remain underground, waiting. Here's the detail that stops everyone cold. Around 8000 BC, roughly 2,000 years after the site was built, someone made a deliberate decision to bury it. Not abandonment, not collapse, intentional burial. The enclosures were filled in, carefully, with soil and rubble. Every pillar covered, every carving hidden. We don't know why. We have no record. We have no name for the people who did it. We only know that this burial is the reason the site survived 12 millennia underground, and the reason Klaus Schmidt found it at all. The people who buried Göbekli Tepe preserved it perfectly, for us, without knowing we would come. 12,000 years of waiting, and we've barely started looking. Cappadocia and Derinkuyu. When the world above became too dangerous, they moved entire cities underground. 85 meters underground. Cappadocia looks like a landscape from a dream someone had after reading too much science fiction. Millions of years ago, volcanic eruptions buried this region in deep layers of soft volcanic tuff. Wind and water spent the next few million years carving that tuff into the formations you see today. Tall, narrow pillars of rock, some capped with harder stone, rising across the valley floor like the ruins of something enormous. The locals call them fairy chimneys. Early Christians carved churches and homes directly into them. The rock is soft enough to cut with hand tools, hard enough to hold its shape for thousands of years. But the most extraordinary thing about Cappadocia isn't what's above the ground. Dozens of underground cities discovered beneath Cappadocia. Derinkuyu, 85 meters deep, 8 levels, 20,000 people. In 1963, a resident of the town of Derinkuyu knocked down a wall during home renovations. Behind the wall was a tunnel. Behind the tunnel was a room. Behind the room were more tunnels. He had accidentally rediscovered an underground city that had been abandoned for decades and forgotten for centuries. Derinkuyu extends 85 meters straight down through the volcanic rock, the equivalent of a 25-story building, carved entirely by hand. 8 floors are accessible to visitors. Archaeologists believe there may be up to 18 in total. It had everything a city needs: kitchens, stables, wine presses, storage rooms, a church, a missionary school, ventilation shafts, 52 of them, running the full depth of the complex to circulate fresh air to every level. Wells sunk to underground water sources, and enormous circular rolling stone doors, each weighing hundreds of kilograms, that could be sealed from the inside, impossible to move from the other side. An entire city, underground, that could lock itself shut, and only the people inside knew where the doors were. The underground cities of Cappadocia were built and expanded over centuries, possibly beginning with the Phrygians in the 8th and 7th centuries BC, and significantly expanded during the Byzantine era, when Arab raids made the surface too dangerous to inhabit. Communities would descend with their livestock, their food stores, their religious objects, and their families. They would seal the doors behind them, and they would wait, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months. The cities were connected to each other by tunnels. Derinkuyu is linked to the nearby underground city of Pamukkale by a tunnel estimated at 8 to 9 kilometers long, an underground road between 2 underground cities. The last people to use Derinkuyu as a refuge were the Cappadocian Greeks, a Christian community who had lived in this region for centuries under Ottoman rule. In 1923, following the Greco-Turkish War, the 2 countries agreed to a compulsory population exchange. The Cappadocian Greeks, some of whose families had lived underground in these tunnels for generations during periods of persecution, were forced to leave for Greece. Most had never been to Greece. Most spoke only Turkish. They took what they could carry. They left the underground city behind. It was found 40 years later by a man knocking down a wall, a city carved to survive everything, survived by accident. 2 locations in: a temple that predates civilization by 2,000 years, an underground city 85 meters deep, built by people who needed somewhere to hide. Turkey has been doing this for 12,000 years, hiding things, building things, burying things, and we keep finding them. Subscribe to Terra Spark now and don't go anywhere. The next 2 locations are where the ancient world gets strange in ways you won't expect. Pamukkale, a spa town built on a geological accident. The Romans piped hot spring water into their homes here. We're still using the same water. From the air, it looks like a glacier that forgot what latitude it was in. Pamukkale, Cotton Castle in Turkish, is a series of white travertine terraces cascading down a 200-meter cliff in southwestern Turkey. Each terrace holds a shallow pool of mineral blue water. From a distance, the whole formation shimmers like something made, not grown. It was not made. It took millennia. 17 hot springs, 35 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. Calcium carbonate building for thousands of years. 2,700 meters long. 17 hot springs emerge from a geological fault at the top of the cliff. The water is supersaturated with calcium carbonate. As it cascades down the hillside and loses carbon dioxide to the air, the calcium carbonate precipitates out and solidifies, slowly, centimeter by centimeter, century by century, into the white terraces you see today. The process is still happening now. Every day, the terraces are still growing. In the 2nd century BC, the Attalid kings of Pergamon founded a city at the top of the cliff, directly above the springs, called Hierapolis, Holy City. The Romans took it over in 133 BC and turned it into one of the most sophisticated spa destinations in the ancient world. At its peak, Hierapolis had a population of around 100,000 people, a massive city by ancient standards, drawn by the thermal waters believed to have healing properties. They built baths, temples, a theater, and a remarkable hydraulic system that piped hot spring water directly into the homes of wealthy residents. Hot running water. In the 1st century AD, the Romans had hot running water in this city 2,000 years ago, from the same springs that are still flowing today. At the top of the terraces, there is a pool called the Antique Pool, popularly known as Cleopatra's Pool. It is filled with the same thermal spring water that the Romans used. Submerged in it, half visible through the mineral blue water, are ancient marble columns and architectural fragments. They fell into the pool during a major earthquake in the 7th century AD and have been there ever since. You can swim in this pool, amongst the ruins, in water that has been running here since before the Roman Empire. In the 1960s, as tourism arrived, hotels were built directly on the travertine terraces. Roads were cut across the formations. The hot spring water was diverted into hotel swimming pools. The white stone began to turn gray. By 1988, when UNESCO made it a World Heritage Site, the damage was serious. The hotels were demolished, the roads were removed, water flow was carefully managed and redirected. The terraces are slowly recovering, still white, still growing, still alive. 2,000 years of Romans and tourists and earthquakes, and the springs are still flowing. Mount Nemrut. A minor king built a mountaintop tomb surrounded by giant stone gods to make himself equal to them. His body has never been found. His name was Antiochus I. He ruled a small kingdom called Commagene, wedged between the Roman and Parthian empires in what is now southeastern Turkey, from approximately 70 BC to 36 BC. By the standards of ancient history, he was not particularly significant. A minor king of a minor kingdom in a complicated neighborhood. He is remembered today for exactly one reason: what he built on top of a mountain, 2,134 meters high, statues 8 to 9 meters tall, built in 62 BC. His tomb, never found. In 62 BC, Antiochus chose the summit of Mount Nemrut, one of the highest peaks in the eastern Taurus range, at 2,134 meters, and built his tomb sanctuary there. He erected a 50-meter artificial mound of crushed limestone at the peak. At the foot of that mound, on both the east and west terraces, he placed enormous stone statues, 8 to 9 meters tall when seated, of himself and the gods he worshipped. But not just any gods. Antiochus claimed descent from Alexander the Great on his mother's side and Darius the Great of Persia on his father's side. So the gods on his mountain are fusions. Zeus merged with the Persian deity Ahura Mazda. Apollo merged with the Iranian sun god Mithras. Heracles merged with the Persian war god Artagnus. Greek bodies, Persian names, Antiochus's political ambitions carved in stone. He wanted to be buried among gods he had personally redesigned, and he wanted everyone in the kingdom to see the mountain and remember him. A minor king who decided that the way to be remembered forever was to sit, in stone, among gods he had invented. 2,000 years later, it is working. Here is the specific detail that elevates Nemrut from spectacle to something genuinely strange. On the west terrace, among the fallen heads and scattered stone, there is a slab carved with a lion. The lion is covered in stars, 3 planets identified by inscription as Jupiter, Mercury, and Mars, along with a crescent moon. Archaeologists have calculated that this arrangement of celestial bodies corresponds to a specific date, July 7th, 62 BC, the day Antiochus was crowned king. He carved the night sky of his coronation into stone, a permanent record in stars of the moment his power began. One of the world's oldest known astrological calendar, carved on a mountaintop by a king who wanted to be a god. The date it records, his own coronation. Despite a century of excavation, Antiochus's tomb has never been found. The 50-meter mound of crushed limestone at the summit is believed to conceal it, but the loose rock makes any excavation immediately collapse back on itself. Every attempt to dig in has failed. Ground-penetrating radar has suggested large voids beneath the mound, but nothing has been confirmed. He built his monument to last forever. It has. He built it to keep his tomb hidden. It has. Antiochus I of Commagene, minor king, has outlasted every empire that conquered him. His stone gods, beheaded by earthquakes, worn by 2,000 winters, their heads now scattered at the feet of their thrones, are one of the most visited archaeological sites in Turkey. He wanted to be equal to the gods. He is still being looked for. Turkey isn't one place. It's 40 civilizations pressed together, and most of it is still underground. 4 places, 12,000 years. What Turkey teaches you is not that the ancient world was impressive. We already knew that. What Turkey teaches you is that the ancient world was much older than we thought, and we are still constantly finding out how much older. There is almost certainly something right now buried under a field in Turkey that will change what we think we know about human history. We just haven't knocked on the right wall yet. That is the thing about Turkey. It is not a country with a past. It is a country that is still becoming its past. If this is the kind of history that stops you in your tracks, subscribe to Terra Spark. Episode 3 is Turkey's neighbor and perhaps its greatest rival for sheer ancient density, Italy. Not the Italy of the Colosseum and the Pantheon, you already know those. The Italy of ghost towns and plague islands and cities that the ground tried to swallow and failed. Subscribe. Ring the bell. Come back for episode 3. The world is older and stranger than anyone told you. We'll keep proving it.